let's jump right in. In today's explainer, we're tearing apart a design concept that literally stopped a creator dead in their tracks. We're going to do a layer-by-layer deconstruction of a true aesthetic breakthrough, one that seamlessly blends ancient cultural heritage with cutting-edge programmatic design. If you've ever wondered how tactile traditional crafts can not just survive but absolutely thrive in a strict, code-driven world, well, you are in the exact right place. So, picture this. You're walking through a massive book fair. You know the vibe. It's noisy, there are endless rows of generic covers, just a ton of visual clutter competing for your eyeballs. But then, designer and developer Eng stumbles into something completely unexpected. Recalling the experience, they were, quote, surprised to discover an exhibition hall that showcased only Chinese books. And out of that massive sea of titles, one particular book cover completely demanded their attention. It wasn't loud or flashy in that typical commercial way. Nope, it was this striking piece of cultural heritage design that just stopped them. So what actually makes a simple book cover do that? Okay, let's dive into this. The real secret to this magnetic cover lies in a completely brilliant aesthetic clash. The whole design is about combining ethnic textile patterns with minimalist, structured typography. Now, it sounds kind of simple when you say it out loud, right? But the tension between these two opposing forces is exactly what makes it so captivating. You've got the wild, organic complexity of history crashing right into the clean, gridlocked precision of modern typesetting. It's this beautiful dialogue between the analog past and our digital present. Let's zoom in on the very first layer of our deconstruction, the base canvas. The patterns Eng noticed didn't just come out of thin air. They originated from the ethnic groups in the Guangxi region of China. And just think about the sheer sensory detail going on here. We are talking incredibly intricate textures, complex stitching, meticulous beadwork, and dense woven patterns. It's literally a tactile history, generations of craft, beautifully translated onto a flat geometric space. It feels like every single thread carries a narrative. Now, what's really interesting about this part of the design is how those textures are brought to life through color, because this is definitely not a muted, subtle affair. These covers feature a palette that is fiercely vibrant, but still profoundly earthy. We're looking at deep, rich tones, deep reds, heavy maroons, brilliant flashing golds. And these aren't just colors, they create this dense, textural base that feels incredibly heavy and luxurious. But here's the critical design problem. If you have a background that is this rich, this busy, and this vibrant, how on earth do you make the title of the book readable without completely destroying the artwork? Well, that brings us to an incredibly elegant solution. Right in the middle section of the cover, the designers used a classic technique, the obi. If you're not familiar, an obi is a wraparound paper band, and it's a total staple in Japanese and Chinese publishing. By wrapping this band around the middle of the book, you instantly create a safe harbor for your typography. It solves the exact problem we were just talking about. It acts as the structural, quiet bridge between that hyper-busy background and the reader's eye. So it totally respects the art while still delivering the message. And this brilliantly illustrates the powerful design theory at play here. On one hand, you have the intricate, busy, detailed patterns of those Guangxi textures, loud, proud, and full of cultural depth. But then you contrast that with the obi, which brings in the structured calm of clean negative space. Honestly, this contrast is everything. The negative space doesn't just hold the text, it actually gives your eyes a place to rest. And because of that, the busy patterns feel even richer and more intentional, instead of just visually chaotic. It's visual balance in its absolute purest form. So, the crucial point is how this age-old publishing technique actually translates into a modern digital workflow. For Eng, this wasn't just, a fun trip to a book fair. It was direct inspiration for their own work. Specifically, it sparked ideas for their Extus to ebook project. This is a project dedicated to creating book covers using Typest, which is a modern open-source programmatic typesetting system. Eng realized that this gorgeous balance of complex cultural heritage and minimalist structure could actually be mathematically coded. By using absolute positioning, precise margin controls, and layering parameters and types, a developer can flawlessly recreate this depth without ever opening a single graphic design program. How cool is that? Let's move to and see how this builds into an actual, actionable programmatic workflow. Like, how do you actually take that tactile aesthetic and code it? Well, step 1. You programmatically generate or place your rich ethnic textile pattern to serve as your foundational background layer. Step 2. You code and overlay, that minimalist obi band. By defining your bounding boxes and z-index properties, you introduce sharp, clean negative space right in the center of the canvas. And finally, step 3. You render the entire cover using the Typest engine. It's a perfect sequence. You're taking the analog complexity of traditional weaving and beadwork, and you're giving it structure with precise lines of code. Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with in today's explainer. How can traditional heritage patterns shape the future of programmatic design? We so often think of code and algorithms as cold, right? Or completely detached from human history. But as we've seen today, the intricate craftsmanship of Guangxi textiles and the ancient utility of the obi band aren't just relics of the past. They are the exact blueprints we need to breathe warmth, culture, and stunning visual tension into the digital designs of tomorrow. So challenge yourself to look a little closer at the heritage around you. You might just find your next great technological inspiration.